hold on to is just like she has done.
But if you are the head of service, how would you have handled this situation?
Yeah, I would have talked to my boss like she did, and I would have followed it up with a memo to let him have antecedents to the whole issue, because there was an antecedent that, look, this gentleman was not found on duty, he was queried, and there are ways of citing the rules and regulations which we complied with. Now for someone to now come around and say so and so, I don't think it will do the government well. And then now list out the mandates of the government that this might affect, and also list out the possible effects on the current civil servants and the past civil servants, and cite some cases that have been dealt with before this time, or some cases that are still ongoing now. And I believe that my boss, Mr. President, should be in a position to say, yes, Mr. Attorney General, please suspend that, or Mr. Minister, please suspend this or that.
But is the HOS in the position to advise the Federal Civil Service Commission?
Of course, there's a line of relationship. Of course. Look, this issue could never have been concluded without the Federal Civil Service Commission, because when the guy was sacked, it was a matter that was concluded between the Federal Civil Service Commission and the Office of the Head of Service.
So, in your opinion, you think it's actually the chairman or the board of the Federal Civil Service Commission that should be in the eye of the storm, and not necessarily the HOS?
I believe so, because they have a legal department. Okay, and then there should be a way whereby they would have sat down with the head of service and said, look, this issue is a naughty issue, and we dealt with the issue of his dismissal. How do we go about it? There were no records like that. They just wrote to the ministry and said, look, this is the issue. Get together the disciplinary committee, senior staff disciplinary committee, to deal with this issue.
But how do you explain Maina's promotion? He left as an assistant director. He was a fugitive. He said he left because he did not appear in office. He wasn't in office. Then he came back and was promoted 2 steps. How do one explain that?
I will say this unequivocally. It is very, very wrong. Even if all the process were dealt with, and surely it was seen that it was wrong to have dismissed him, there are processes. Number one, when you are to be promoted, you sit for examinations or interviews, from assistant director to deputy director, then from deputy director to that of a director. It should take time. It should not be automatic.
What's the time frame like, from assistant director to one becoming a director, substantive director?
It's about 4 years. 4 years between assistant director and deputy director, and then from deputy director to director. And there is a substantive matter right now that a lot of assistant directors or directors who should have been promoted to directors are not moved, because some group of civil servants went to court, and the issue of promoting directors, deputy directors to directors have been held for the past 4 or 5 years. So then, why did you now forget about that? And you have been holding other people down, and now you think that this gentleman who you just brought back should be the one that should have this promotion, to 2 levels. I cannot understand it.
But do you suspect Cabal acting with a definite ethnic agenda made this possible? This abracadabra as it is?
Let me just say this. Let us use our tongue to counter our teeth. That's it.
The civil servants are said to be very powerful. There are people who still believe that the civil servants who participated in this process could have stopped the politicians from carrying out their agenda. Do you see a failure on the part of the civil service here?
I want to agree absolutely, but let me tell you this. When I was in service, I was very, very insistent on keeping in line with the rules and regulations. It earned me some, unpleasant situations, but I held up my head, and at the end of the day, I was vindicated. So if they were ready to also go that way, why not? The worst that will happen is that they will get posted out of, wherever they are. That's it.
But it could really be hard working with politicians.
It could be very, very hard. Look, when I was in a ministry, permit me not just to say, because, I had ruffled feathers with my minister, I traveled out. Before I came back, I was posted to a service institute where it was headed by a deputy director, and I was posted there to be an instructor, because you have a PhD, you think you are good, okay, go and be teaching them there.
And you were a permanent secretary?
I was a permanent secretary, and
the agency was headed by the director.
Exactly, you understand me? And the thing is that after 5 days, Mr. President had to change that posting, and that's how I ended up in the office of head of service. And the same gentleman that was heading that institute was reporting to me. It could be that bad. But if you hold up your head, at the end of the day, you get vindicated and you become a champion, sort of. But while the traumatic situation will be going on, you'll be suffering. You'll be suffering. People will be asking, come, what's happening to you? What is this? What is that? But you need to, be diligent and decide, no matter what happens to me, I'm going to uphold the law, the rules and regulations.
So, I mean, looking at this minor issue, how do you see it ending? The man is on the run. He can't be found again. He has released some videos, saying that he is actually on the right side of history. That, there are forces who are after his life, who are trying to kill him to, avoid getting the truth to the open. How do you see it ending, really?
I cannot say how it will end, but I can advise on how I think it should end. One, I think Mena should just come forward. I'm sure he will be protected. Those people he's talking about, that are insisting on killing him, surely cannot touch him if he's under the cover of SSS and whatever. And by the time he comes in, I'm sure they might even keep him, a place that no one else will be able to, access. This information that he says he has, I'm sure he knows, will be something very, very useful for this government. Give them names, give them files, give them all the, antecedents, and I'm sure they will pick it from there. For me, he's more or less on the side of government if he has all those things to bring forward, rather than this defense. But the truth is still this: if the EFCC has all the documentation on what he was being accused of, he will still have to answer. And if you are very free and you know that there is nothing that you are hiding, come forth and say, look, this is it. To me, all that is still saying, I still find it mysterious. Because if you say, look, a lot of people have stolen money, and you are trying to protect government and whatever it is, just come forward and say, look, this is it. And you might end up a national hero rather than a villain that you are allowing people to call you.
But some people say these minor issues, saying this is the true picture of the civil service, that the civil service is absolutely corrupt. Tell me, how corrupt is the civil service? They say that the system you worked for, that you retired in, is fantastically corrupt.
I would not accede to that, because the civil servants are part of the system. There are rules and regulations guiding the civil servants. And if you are talking of people who are diligent and meticulous, it is the civil servants.
They say you are the ones who actually aid the politicians, the ministers, to actually steal the monies. That in fact, you show them where to steal, that in fact you give them the monies to steal.
That's most unfair. Look, I know. Politicians come in, and they have reasons to, satisfy a lot of the people that brought them in, and they have responsibilities at home and all that. What we do is to expose to them the rules. Look, you want to go this way, you cannot go this way because of A, B, C, D. However, if you want to do this, make sure you comply with this and this and this and that. Unfortunately, a lot of these politicians are not patient with us. And that's what happened to people like me who got posted. In fact, look, if you look at my CV, I serve, the maximum number of years I served was in defense, which was 2 years and 2 months. In police affairs, I was there for 8 months. In agric, I was there for just 1 year. Head of service 1 year, lands and housing 1 year, and all those kind of things, because they will not be comfortable with you saying, look, you have to comply with this and this and this.
But it's bureaucracy is also, it's also part of what is keeping this country.
There's nothing wrong with bureaucracy.
Are you sure there's nothing wrong?
There are rules. What is bureaucracy?
They talk about how things work in the private sector, that it's faster, that in the civil service is a bit slow and affects development.
I know that surely amongst the 12, you may have a Judas. Okay, but there's nothing wrong with bureaucracy. Bureaucracy just said, before you get here, you must touch this, you must touch that. This person must accede to this, must accede to that. What's wrong with that? It's just to make sure that corruption does not happen. Because now, look at it. You have somebody who is supposed to do something, and because of what you want to get, you make sure that that person is not there. You have breached bureaucracy, and the effect is that you have your way. When you have your way, who is affected? The system is affected, and at the end of the day, it will still come back to you, because it will be discovered that you did not comply. Now, if there are no bureaucracy, how would we have done well with anti-corruption, especially the issue of EFCC? It's part of the bureaucracy that you must pass through this and that before you get this and that. And then when there's a breach, we know that something is wrong. Somebody has got what he should not have got. That is the goodness of a bureaucracy.
All right. Well, let's leave that. How bad is sectionalism in the civil service? Does it really prevent excellence? Does it really bar excellence really in the service?
So very much. Let me explain this. You have an honorable minister who comes in, and when you get to his office, you will not hear any language other than his own. Whereas what he's supposed to have is a special assistant that is a deputy director in the service who is knowledgeable in the area that is dealing with. But they come in with their people. I also suffered from that when a minister came in with 50 consultants.
50?
Yes, when he should not have more than one.
On the bills of the government?
Of course. On the bills of the government. I said, no, this cannot happen. If you want to have this, you have to write Mr. President to increase, from 1 to 2 or 3 or something like that. And that's it. Because I know what I received. And that is it. So sectionalism should never ever be there. And that is why you have the Federal Character Commission to kind of control this. If you are going to have people to do this, every section of the country must be satisfied, and that's it. But
the special advisors or assistants that the ministers appoint, you said it's supposed to be a deputy director in the civil service.
That is the rule.
Ministers bring in special assistants from outside of the civil service.
There is a provision that, look, if you need more than this, approach Mr. President. I need this, and explain why you would need all those. If Mr. President approves, great, because it's the ultimate as far as that issue of approval is concerned. But not to say somebody should.
But is anyone at the moment in Nigeria or before following that particular process? What we have are ministers bringing in SAs from outside of the system.
They still bring people from outside the system, but if it's about 2, 3, or 4, don't forget that most of them are brought in after elections, considering what they have done, how good they have been to the system there. And there are people who work with them, you know, on their political campaign and all those things. Yes, they want those people. And then they also believe in those people because they say the devil you know is better than the one you don't know. And, you know, they have this idea that the civil servants may not help them, they may work against them. Yeah, that may explain it. But the rule is still there that you cannot bring these people in. If you are going to bring them in, seek Mr. President approval. And that's it.
But you know, at the beginning of this administration, when the president started, he called the ministers noisemakers. That was when he decided he was going to run government for some time with permanent secretaries. And many people feel that that was a big error. In fact, one of his biggest errors.
It was not an error. Let me explain to you. Mr. President happens to have military background. He has come across civil servants. He knows what it is. Look, the rules in the civil service are adhered to just as much as you have in the military service. I was in the Ministry of Defense, don't forget. He did not speak out of point because he knows that the people who are doing the work are the civil servants. All that the ministers do is append their signatures to most of this, things that the civil servants are concluded. Some of the ministers are so wonderful. They come in, these are my ideas, this is where I want to get to, and these are the threshold that I want to make sure that we have as per so time. The civil servants will pick it up. But who monitors the civil servant? It's the federal permanent secretary. You understand me? So who is reporting directly to the honorable minister? So Mr. President did not talk out of point. He was very, very correct. Well, saying they are noisemakers, I don't know about that.
You don't know about that?
No.
Okay, well, you are from Osun State here, and looking at the issues here in Osun, with issues around what can the state do right with the civil service?
A lot. The first thing is you make the civil servant happy. How do you make them happy? Pay them their dues accordingly and timely. 2, train and retrain them. A lot of them are dealing with issues of today with experience of some 20 years ago. They need to be trained. They need to be retrained, especially in issues of ICT. There are a lot of places where you have 10 civil servants dealing with an issue that only one person would effectively deal with. Retrain those other 9 and repost them to places where they can be more useful to themselves and to the society. You understand? And then have more interactions with them. Don't treat them like lepers that you cannot touch. I know things are not that easy with us in the state and in so many other states as it is, but let them have that sense of belonging. Look, anybody who is working for somebody is not just working for that person to seek joy through earning salaries. No, there are a lot of other things that you can do to make them happy. When they are happier, you see the productivity will raise. You understand me? And that is just what we need to do.
All right. Happy. Well, just before we open the phone lines, let me ask you. You are from Orile Ogu, here in Osun State.
Yes.
How close are you to your home, to your source now that you're retired?
Well, I'm very, very close to them.
Very close.
We meet, almost weekly, and that's why I've also registered with a party to be closer to my people and to try as much as possible to make things better for them. When we have information outside that they should know of, we let them have this. We have advocacy programs for them too. You understand? And these are the things I can be useful to them for serving at the federal level for about 32 years. Yes, it's time now to be relevant to my people.
All right, well, I've been speaking for the past 40 minutes or thereabouts with Dr. Ezekiel Oyebola Oyemomi, retired Federal Permanent Secretary serving in several ministries at the federal level: Ministry of Police Affairs, Ministry of Defense, Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development, and many other ministries. Really, they're talking about this issue of minor, especially from a civil service point of view, and looking at other issues. Really, in the civil service. Open the phone lines for you now to join this very interesting conversation. We'd like you to keep your comments very short, make them very simple, and most importantly, let's keep them civil.
You can now join the conversation by calling 0703-175-9177, 0703-175-9177, and 0902-427-3808. You can equally make use of our social media platforms. For WhatsApp, 0703-175-9173, 0703-175-9173. Tweet at us at Rave917FM, and Facebook is Rave917FM. Do remember to turn down the volume on your radio set or move away from it. And please, let's keep our comments civil. Thank you.
We have our first call on the line. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning. My name is Akin Adeyi. I'm speaking from Oshogo.
Thank you, Mr. Adeyi.
Regarding this issue of minor and some other issues, you see that what we have in the country right now is 1 week, one embarrassment from this administration. And they create some embarrassment sometimes to erase the one on ground. You see, we had the issue of Kachuku and 25 billion. Of a sudden, they brought this issue of a minor. And fortunately for this government, they have a gullible audience in Nigeria. As soon as we are diverted to a particular issue, we forget the one on ground. When we were talking about this minor issue, they will think another one now that they will bring out. And minor now is sort of telling us that it's a case of Nami Bona and Nami Giambele, waiting concern police inside. It's sort of telling us that it is government that they should ask questions over this money.
Okay.
So I don't see all these things that we are talking about. This government is an embarrassment.
All right. Well, thank you, Mr. Adeyi. Let's get on that. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
What's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name is Olanipekun. I'm calling from Awode.
Thank you, Mr. Olanipekun.
So I just want to butt into the issue of a memo getting to the president. Whatever memo goes into the president passes through the office of chief of staff, which is Abba Kyari. Abba Kyari now decides which of the memo gets into the president. Had it been Mr. President, had it been this memo getting to the president, Mr. President, you and I know Mr. President is not nonsense man. The issue of my now will never come up at all. The main cover people are talking about is the chief of staff, which is Abba Kyari. If you look at this issue properly, it has a little resemblance with the issue of Makasi Baru and the NNPC and the Minister of Petroleum. That is the same thing. That is what really happened there. I don't know why Mr. President is still keeping that man there. Something has to be done.
Thank you very much, Mr. Olanipekun. Hello, good morning. Okay, let's take some messages on WhatsApp here from Tony Tonero. They saying, we are saying Minor was a hardcore criminal, but the family spoke and said their son was innocent victim of frame-up. And Minor himself said he never touched a kobo of the pension fund. If the EFCC have documents of his misdeeds, let them come out and bring him to justice immediately like others. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
What's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name is Sam. I'm speaking from Oshogo.
Thank you, Mr. Sam.
Thank you very much. I want to say that Nigeria is regressing under this present administration because there's so much hypocrisy, lies, and deceit. They told us the president wasn't aware at all of the statements of Mena. Now we know he was aware, even if it was verbal. Why, to confirm that, why the attack on the head of service by the chief of staff if they had done what was right? We just must note as I submit that the problem being created by all these lies and deceits will go into the next generation and generations after us to create a serious crisis, because all our steps of today are precedences for our tomorrow. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sam. Hello, good morning. Okay, more messages here. Biodu Martins on WhatsApp is saying the Nigerian civil service is the grandfather of corruption. Until it is washed clean, there will always be corruption in Nigeria. And Mr. Law is saying, good morning. The bulk of corruption is in the civil service, most especially the permanent secretary. You cannot take a penny from government purse without the intention of the civil servant. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning. This is Adekunle calling from Oshogbo.
Your name again, please.
Adekunle calling from Oshogbo.
Thank you, Mr. Olamide.
Olanipekun. Or you can call me Lekun.
Yes.
Okay, so this is the thing. Now, it's common sense, basically. I'm going to start from the people who reinstated the MENA in the first place. Now, you know someone has cases of, well, he's accused right now. You know someone has cases of being accused of stealing money. He's accused of fraud and everything. But then you reinstated him. It makes two things. It's either he has the I card on them, maybe there's something, I don't know, something he knows that they don't want him to reveal or something. There has to be a reason, like maybe it's on the blackmail level. Or it's just such an important asset that, oh my God, they have no choice but to just insist because they have something important to just from them.
Thank you. All right, on Twitter. Okay, hello, good morning.
Good morning. My name is Ayodele. I'm speaking from Ede.
Thank you, Mr. Ayodele.
That is a very good program, and I think we need to thank the highly experienced PS. I wish him good luck. You know, the other day when you brought this issue of minor, I made a statement that ordinarily, minor wouldn't go back to his office. There must have been an originated memo. And that is where the problem lies. And that is where we have to dim the searchlight. But I thank God everything is out. Now, I just want to make another comment. Civil servants, they lead politicians in the wrong way. The doctor may not agree. For instance, when in the civil service they want to give money out, they will say they have to perfect it. What is the meaning of perfect it? And that is to say they will tell us, they will take money and they will spend it, especially to the assemblies and so on and so forth. So I don't agree that civil servants are not really making much effort in corruption.
All right. Well, let's see some messages on Twitter. Victory Midday, tweeting at Victory Midday, saying thanks to Dr. Ezekiel Oyebola Oyemomi for educating us on the dismissal of minor from office. And Shegun from Ikiri is also saying, Dr. Oyemomi comes across as brilliant, articulate, and experienced. Indeed, Oshun is blessed. And Prince Adekwo Jotobatole from Milan Rogo is saying, Femi, heads must roll in the Ministry of Interior, especially the Immigration Service, for allowing minor to escape from Nigeria's porous borders. I think we are no more safe from external aggressions in this country if people like minor could sneak out of the country's borders unnoticed. What a paradox. And Falabi from Oshogbo is saying the system in Nigeria doesn't give any hope to the civil servant who chooses to do the right thing, especially when their boss, who occurs to be a political appointee, thinks or act otherwise, like in the case of corruption. In the case of mine, I suspect a lot of foul plays as many bigwigs are involved. I don't care about political or ethnic affiliation, but someone somewhere is killing the civil service. Okay, one more call. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
What's the name? Where are you calling from?
Mr. Sunday from Oshogbo.
Mr. Sunday, thank you for joining us.
Yeah. My now is saying that his life is in danger, and that is why they decided that people want to take his life. What if you let those that want to take his life? Then, when Mina was in the service, I believe he's working for those people. Now, the government at that time drive him away from office. Now, when those people come, they now call him back again.
All right.
So I believe that federal government must produce him as a matter of urgency.
Thank you. This one is Adeshala from Oshogbo. Said the chief of staff is doing Buhari's bidding because the president was aware of Minor's saga. If not, why has he not sacked his chief of staff? And good morning, Mr. Femi. The cabal is the first people that needs to be disarmed. They are far too powerful, and like it or not, they are the ones ruling Nigeria. If we must move forward, we must get it right. Spirit Walker, thank you very much, and well done, Mr. Femi. Please ask your guest, who is the best minister you ever worked with? Thank you. Tunde from Estate. That's a very good one to put Dr. Oyemomi on the spot. Well, let's start with that one. Who was the best minister you worked with?
Yes, that was General Abbey. General Abbey was a disciplinary